Welcome to the BEASTwriter family where social media engagement is encouraged. I am your host, Ryan Sakamoto, and today we are going to be discussing and breaking down Jason Verrett's ability or his inability that he's basically going to be testing free agent waters. It's going to be something that's going to get interesting because I already touched base on this on Saturday in a live stream as it pertains to Kyle Juszczyk and Jason Verrett as opposed to re-signing simply Trent Williams. I broke down the parameters of the pros and cons for both sides and why I thought it was best to roll with JV, which is Jason Verrett and Kyle Juszczyk, over a guy like Trent Williams, who's going to reset the market, as Greg Rosenthal of NFL.com pointed out earlier in the week. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about what is going on as it pertains to Jason Verrett. But before we get started on that, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for subscribing to my channel. Just be sure, if you're watching right now and you have a YouTube account, to be sure to hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of your screen as you stay up to date on all things Beast in real time. Simply, we are running giveaways. For those who know, again, I am giving away this game day commemorative pennant, complete with the NFL license sticker. And that is because we hit our milestone. We just hit 1,000 subscribers, and I wouldn't be here without you. The BEASTwriter family is growing. I call it when you're here, your family, and we really like the community that we're trying to build up here. So thank you to each and every one of you for going ahead and supporting me as I continue to grow the BEASTwriter family on this social media platform. Also, since I love doing giveaways, we're going to do another one. So this is a 2018 bobblehead, Jimmy Garoppolo bobblehead, that was given to me by the 49ers back in 2018. I don't remember the game, but someone said it was the Detroit Lions game. Probably was. Anyways, it's still in its box, brand spanking new. Haven't touched it, haven't opened it. It's just been sitting there. Again, it has the NFL license sticker on there. We'll be running a giveaway for this one. Once we hit 1,500 subscribers, we're about 400 subscribers to go. So the best way to grow the BEASTwriter family and the channel is to continue sharing my content. If you're watching this, repost, share, tell people to subscribe to my channel, because at the end of the day, I like giving back. If you're on Twitter, you guys know I've been doing this since day one. If you hashtag Spot Sakamoto contest or Spot the Beast contest, you will know I've been doing this ever since I became a beat writer back in 2013. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk NFL football as it pertains to the San Francisco 49ers and every other NFL team. We can talk about that as well, but let's go ahead and start with Jason Verrett. So, Jason Verrett, who is Jason Verrett? Well, he was a 2014 first-round pick, right? Drafted by the San Diego Chargers back then in the first round at a TCU. Had a really good combine, had really good measurables coming out. I said he would become better than Justin Gilbert, and he is. He's definitely a player who had some red flags. I talked about his injury history on Saturday. You can catch that live stream. If you missed it, I'll go ahead and include that in the description below. But after the live stream is over, but Jason Verrett, yes, is he injury prone? Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. He's injury prone. And when you look at it and actually take it for what it's worth, you kind of see, is he damaged goods, or is this a one-year wonder where he kind of bounced back and this is what you're getting moving forward? That's the question that GM John Lynch has to ask himself. But at the end of the day, Jason Verrett's going to be testing free agent waters. So when you have Jason Verrett, who tore his ACL in 2017, tore his Achilles in 2018, right? Had an ankle injury in 2019 with his first year in San Francisco. I think he only played in one game or something like that, right? He didn't play very many games in his first year in San Francisco. Then bounced back to his Pro Bowl form in 2020 and was a true shutdown corner. I mean, the guy played absolutely amazing. Amazing. And in my grading system, there was no defensive back that graded higher than Jason Verrett. And you can look at it one or two ways. Is it worth giving Jason Verrett $10 to $12 million per year, knowing that there's red flags tied to him because of his injury history? I mean, anytime you tear your ACL, there's a good chance that you're going to develop arthritis in the affected knee. With that comes a kinetic chain of other injuries. So, are you banking on what you saw in 2020 as a 1-year sample size to pull from as opposed to the previous 4 and say, okay, I know it's a high risk. I know this is probably Jason Verrett's last big contract he's going to sign. His agent wants him to get a front-loaded deal because his ceiling's at an all-time high. But what's that asking price? $10 to $12 million. That's what I think Jason Verrett's going to command on the open market based on the free agent class that's coming out. Again, it's all about supply and demand. You look at the supply that's out there in this year's cornerback free agent class, and Jason Verrett has to be a top 5 cornerback. I would argue he'd be a top 3 boundary cornerback. Then you take it a step further and be like, okay, well, if you let Jason Verrett go, what's going to happen with K'Wan Williams, who's a slot cornerback? You're going to let him walk too, or are you going to re-sign him? There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers, and GM John Lynch is doing absolutely nothing at this point. He's not re-signing Trent Williams up to this point, going to let him test free agent waters, which is fine. But at some point, you're going to have to spend some money somewhere and keep some of your in-house free agents. Otherwise, you're giving the faithful to the Bay false hope that you're Super Bowl contenders when you're really not. And I said they weren't Super Bowl contenders to begin with because the offensive line is shaky at best. Tell me I'm wrong. I don't know. Let's go ahead and start off with those questions, but keep those comments coming, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's go. All right. So let me just talk about Jason Verrett further. I already touched based on what he brought to the table, but how is he tied to Kyle Juszczyk? That's something that people have been asking me. Well, if you do the math, you look at what Jason Verrett's going to command on the open market. You look at what Kyle Juszczyk is going to command on the open market. You add those numbers together, it's about what Trent Williams is going to be commanding on the open market by himself. He's going to reset the market. I said the sweet spot is $18 million per year. I already broke it down yesterday and even my live stream on Saturday as it pertains to keeping Trent Williams over Jason Verrett and Kyle Juszczyk. But $18 million is a sweet spot. That's the sweet spot that I'm at. If I'm GM John Lynch, I'm not going to go 18.5. I'm not even going to go 19 million. $18 million is the spot. Why? I'll break it down again, but it's based on his age and it's based on the number of years on the contract, right? So you look at the left tackle, blindside left tackle money. That's where the money is. Anybody who tells you different, you're wrong. Look at what Mitchell Schwartz is getting from the Kansas City Chiefs, who's a top right tackle. Look at what Jack Conklin is getting for the Cleveland Browns. Compare that to what left tackle money is with David Bakhtiari, Ronnie Stanley Jr., guys like Garrett Bowles, Taylor Lewan, Trent Williams. And you can see why the left tackle and the blindside tackle money is more premium. Like it's just a premium position, right? That is why Orlando Brown Jr., OBJ, the other OBJ from the Baltimore Ravens, has requested a trade. Because his agent's probably saying, hey, you filled in really well for Ronnie Stanley once he went down with that leg injury or ankle injury, whatever the case may be. And I know you can get more money, and I want more money. So let's request a trade if they don't keep you at left tackle, because you did a pretty darn good job at left tackle. And look at what David Bakhtiari is getting. He's getting $23 million a year. You know how much your teammate Ronnie Stanley gets? He gets $19.7 million per year, bro. Like, that's what we want. And you're young, and you already been to a Pro Bowl. So the question also remains, are the 49ers in play for a guy like Orlando Brown Jr.? No. And the reason I say that is because he's not a scheme fit. He's more tailored to a power run than a zone blocking scheme. All right, let's move on. Let's answer some of your questions as we get going. What's up, Robert Watson from YouTube? Thank you for tuning in, buddy. I caught your comments late last night. I really appreciate the love and support you've been giving me. Thank you so much. And let's go. All right. Ron, hey, what's up, Ron? How you doing, man? Good vibes only, bro. Ron from YouTube, one of my homies. How you doing, buddy? Thank you for tuning in. I didn't even know you had a YouTube channel. You must be watching on Facebook Live and then transitioned into YouTube. I don't know. All right, Sebastian, I'm not going to try to butcher your last name, but Sebastian C says, hopefully we will retain Mosley and draft a cornerback in the first or second round. I like Emmanuel Mosley. I love Emmanuel Mosley. I'd say I like Emmanuel Mosley. I don't say I necessarily love Emmanuel Mosley, but I do like the guy. It's unfair when Robert Saleh puts him in a position where he's lined up against Julio Jones, and then Julio Jones just burns him, and then people bring Emmanuel Mosley like he's supposed to keep up with the first team All-Pro wide receiver. Like, that's just fool's gold, bro. Like, you try to ask Richard Sherman to do that. No, because that's not Richard Sherman's game. Well, that's not Emmanuel Mosley's game. You can't expect Emmanuel Mosley to be locked up man-to-man on an island and expect to have success. It happens time and time again. I don't know why they use Emmanuel Mosley in that role. Like, just let him play a cover 3, keep everything in front of him, and live and die with the results. That's the cover 3 Seahawks defense. I like Emmanuel Mosley. Yes, if you keep Emmanuel Mosley, I think he should lock down one of the boundary cornerback positions. He's proven he can do it. I also like Ahkello Witherspoon. I know people are like, oh man, Ahkello Witherspoon's so inconsistent. I see Pro Bowl potential in Ahkello Witherspoon. If you took Ahkello Witherspoon and compared him to the cornerbacks coming out of this draft class, I'd say he'd be right up there behind Patrick Surtain, obviously, behind Caleb Farley, obviously, and behind my guy, J.C. Horn, obviously. But he'd be probably right there, number 4. And his ceiling would just be as high as a guy like J.C. Horn, because I think both those guys have Pro Bowl potential. As Patrick Surtain, I'm not as high as Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech. I already talked about that why in an earlier podcast. But I like Ahkello Witherspoon. I really like him. He has a height, weight, speed. There's a reason he led the nation in pass breakups. That was one of the things I remember, as I'm working in the NFL media, in the NFL media, but in the 49ers media workroom on draft day, we had the opportunity to talk to all the draft picks shortly after they're drafted on a conference call. We all walked to the front, asked our questions, and so forth. And one of the things that the Niners really liked about Ahkello Witherspoon was his ability to high point the ball, and that he was today's NFL height, weight, speed type of cornerback that you're looking for. He is a guy who I think, and I truly believe, can be a Pro Bowl player. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Ahkello Witherspoon playing at a very high level at some point? Now, it comes down to, is he mentally tough? When you play defensive back, especially the cornerback position, you have to have what's called a short-term memory. You give up one touchdown, one big play that hurts the team. Yeah, you're going to be scrutinized for it, because ultimately you're the one that gave up that play. But at the end of the day, it's how you bounce back from adversity. How do you bounce back 2-3 plays later to say, okay, you know what? I messed up, man. Obviously, I'm not going to curse, but you know what I mean? Like, bro, but hey, I got your back, man. I got you on the next one. I got you. It's my bad. I got you on the next one. Ahkello Witherspoon still has all pro potential. I'm telling you, if he goes somewhere to like the Seattle Seahawks, even the Arizona Cardinals, New England Patriots, who can coach him up and get the best out of his ability, I'm telling you right now, Ahkello Witherspoon could be a Pro Bowl player. It's better to keep him in-house. He was a 3rd-round pick, I believe. Why not keep him in-house? You obviously saw some faith in him moving forward. Yeah, he got benched, but he's still a young talent. I like Ahkello Witherspoon. If you don't like Ahkello Witherspoon, drop your comments. Or if you do like Ahkello Witherspoon, drop your comments below. I would be happy to discuss that further with all of you guys. All right, let's move on. All right, Hot Since 1030 says on Twitter, do you feel we should let Tart go? Well, he's already a free agent. Tart's my dude. I mean, everybody knows how I feel about Jaquiski Tart. I guess I'd be biased because, he's my boy and everything's a good guy. But I don't see him returning. It's not so much that the 49ers are letting him go because he's a free agent, but I don't think they're necessarily going to offer him a contract. That's just my guess. Just saying, I don't think they're going to offer him what he wants or what he's due to make, right, on the open market. And that's just the nature of the business, man. Like, you don't want to get paid. You don't want to pay me, fine. I'll go somewhere else. Someone else will. right? Supply and demand comes back to supply and demand. So I don't think Jaquiski Tartt will be returning in 2021. Write that down. All right, let's move on. 49ers Bud 7373. He says Jason Verrett is not worth $10 million a year. No way. Thank you for tuning in. 49er Bud 7373 from Twitter. Please elaborate why you think that. I will base my stuff on analytics and facts based on the market, the supply and demand, what is realistically going to be out there. Please tell me what that number is for you, and we can have a discussion. All right, let's move on. Drew Burrows. Yeah, the SF front office at this point has given its fan base no hope. Thank you for the comment, Drew, on Facebook. I appreciate the love. Be sure to also subscribe to my YouTube channel so you'll be entered for those giveaways I just spoke about earlier. But I wouldn't say that necessarily that the front office hasn't given him no hope. I just think that's just the vicious cycle in the NFL, right? Once you're at the top, eventually you're going to come down. That's just how it works, you know. So they were at the top in 2019. They were trending upwards. It was at an all-time high. Great morale around the city. Everybody was hyped up just like it was back in the early 90s. And then the balloon just deflated. And here we are today. It's very sad, but that's just the way the NFL works. You know, you can't be at the top all the time. This is not like the early 90s where you can just outright buy players because there's a thing called a salary cap. All right, let's move on. Andrew Schaefer from YouTube, thank you for tuning in and welcome to the BEASTwriter family. I don't think I ever spoke with you on YouTube yet. For all those who don't know, I answer every single question. Every single comment that you guys ask, I am sure to respond to you guys. I love social media platform that YouTube offers. All right, can you sign Juice at $5 million per year for a couple of years? Is it really worth it, or could you draft a replacement super late for much cheaper? Well, to answer your first question, the answer is yes. I already answered that for you in a earlier podcast, so be sure to check out that live stream. I did it, what's today, Monday? I did it on Saturday, and I also put up a separate podcast to where you can actually see what I'm talking about in terms of the analytics side and what it would take to keep Juice in San Francisco. To answer your second question, if they were to go in a different direction, yes, they can obviously find a fullback later on in the draft. If you notice, fullbacks are becoming obsolete today. So not too many teams are high on fullbacks anyways when it comes to their vertical board or even the horizontal board, because when you cross-sect what these NFL teams are doing nowadays, it's more wide receiver, more hybrid tight end wide receiver, like what you see with Kyle Pitts. They're looking more into going that direction because, again, the NFL rules are dictated toward what? The offense and the pass-happy league and fantasy football stats. Yes, fantasy football stats have a huge role with these rules. I mean, do you honestly think that Ronnie Lott could play in today's NFL? Absolutely not. Ronnie Lott would probably be kicked out of the league. He'd probably be like a Vontaze Burfict, just kicked out of the league because he laid the wood on somebody going across the middle. Like, you actually think Lance Schulters, Zach Bronson, Dante Hittner, Deshaun Goldson would last in today's NFL? No. Ray Lewis? No way. Patrick Willis? No way. Absolutely not. The football today is become so one-sided. There is no protection for the defense. Like, how can you tell a tackler to take your head or your shoulder out of the tackle when you're already in the process of making your tackle? Like, that's going against physics. Like, how can you do, like, that's just physically impossible. What you're asking these defensive players to do, oh, you can't hit them high, you can't hit them, oh, you can't hit them there. Like, what if you're trying to avoid at every cost and abide by the rules, but because of when the quarterback slides, like let's say it's a late slide, you're anticipating anticipating where he's going to end up on that slide as you're making the slide or as you're making the tackle when he slides. Like, these rules are ridiculous. And the flopping, I know I'm going off topic, but you guys see this all the time. Lamar Jackson laughs off the field when he's running out of bounds. His foot is still in bounds. He gets hit. There's a flag. And he flops. This ain't the NBA. There should be flags for quarterbacks and fines for quarterbacks for flopping, or any player. Flopping is so ridiculous, bro. It is ridiculous. You get an Academy Award for it. It's horrible. All right. Let's move on. Sanjo Sunny from YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. I know you got some YouTube questions for me. I'll be sure to get back to those after this live stream and answer those for you. Is JV a must? I think it's a must. I think JV is a must. Jason Verrett and Kyle Juszczyk is a must over Trent Williams because Trent Williams is going to help reset the market. I think Trent Williams is ultimately going to go to the Indianapolis Colts. I said that last night, and I broke down the analytics and my analysis as to why. The Indianapolis Colts currently have $43 million in cap health. If they want to leverage getting Trent Williams in return, they can then push an extension for Darius Leonard, who came out of the same draft class as Fred Warner, who's going to help reset the market, give him a big contract extension, which then forces the 49ers' hand to up that contract and reset the market because obviously Fred Warner is the better linebacker overall. And then they're not going to have enough money to re-sign Trent Williams. Obviously, GM Chris Ballard is smart enough because he knows Anthony Costanzo is a blindside left tackle who just recently retired. They're in the win now mode. They obviously will have cap space after signing Darius Leonard, and then that will push Trent Williams going toward the Indianapolis Colts, and then they get him too. So then he can get 2 first-team All-Pros or 2 All-Pros in back-to-back years, fleecing the 49ers in more ways than one, either through trade or free agency, and I can see that actually playing out. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? All right. 49ers Bud said, what's your gut feeling for free agency? Well, I just pointed out some points for you. That's my gut. I also made some bold predictions earlier. Don't be surprised if Von Miller is a cap casualty. I think the team saves in excess of $18 million. They're obviously going to ask him to restructure that deal, making his roster bonus into the sign of a signing bonus. But I don't see that playing out. I think ultimately Von Miller is out in Denver. They're going to roll with the younger Bradley Chubb. They also just franchise tag Justin Simmons, who they need to re-sign. So there's a lot of moving parts on the back end there. I believe ultimately Vic Fangio wants to start fresh and go with a younger alternative in free agency or in the draft. So we will have to see how that plays out. But the Denver Broncos could be in play for a cornerback. Ultimately, that player could be cornerback Patrick Surtain out of Alabama. Whew. All right, let's move on. Sanjo Sunny from YouTube asks, I feel Williams is more of a need than Verret, and Juice hella like Juice, but Dwelly I can feel like kind of fill the role, although he is a tight end. I think Juice is a lot better than Ross Dwelly. Even though he's a tight end, I don't see him being able to play fullback, but that's just me. All right, let's move on. Alex Faulkner, my boy Alex Faulkner from YouTube says, what's up, Beast? What do you think Ryans will do? I thought you were talking about, like, what do you think Ryans? I was like, I'm Ryan. Oh, D'Amico Ryans. I get it. Okay. What do you think Ryans will do differently than Saleh schematically? Do you think cornerback or edge are more important in his new scheme? I think the scheme is going to be very similar because anytime anytime a new defensive coordinator comes into a new role but has the same personnel there, you really don't want to mess things up. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? That's the old saying, as we all know about. But getting back to D'Amico Ryans, whether it's cornerback or whether it's edge, I don't see the scheme changing that much. They're going to stick to that cover 3 scheme. If I was to take a guess, I don't think they'll be blitzing as much as they have been in years past, especially if they don't have K'Wan Williams there playing the slot. And that's something that no one really talks about is K'Wan Williams was a great run defender because of his ability to stop the run, but also rush the passer. We saw it in the Seattle Seahawks game when he came back. He actually made a huge impact simply off becoming an edge blitzer in that slot role. So when you take that all into account, it's going to be a vastly different defense simply because they're not going to have the same personnel that Saleh had been accustomed to over the course of his career in San Francisco. All right, Andrew Schaefer from YouTube. Thank you for tuning in, Andrew. He says, it all starts with Jimmy. If you trade Jimmy, yep, I agree with all that. All right, and so does Alex. All right, Robert Watson from YouTube asks, Witherspoon is highly athletic. Watch him first 3 games of 2019 season, a stud. Yes, I am very high on Ahkello Witherspoon. Mark that down. Mark that Twitter receipt. BEASTwriter said Ahkello Witherspoon has Pro Bowl talent. I'm not saying he's going to be a Pro Bowl, but I say he has Pro Bowl talent. And should he play for another team, don't be surprised if he was in line for a Pro Bowl berth. I'm telling you, Ahkello Witherspoon is a stud. The 49ers would do themselves a favor by re-signing him because, again, he has the skill set to thrive. Correct me if I'm wrong. Robert Watson even pointed it out. He has shown flashes of Pro Bowl talent. Can you say the same about Emmanuel Mosley? Not saying I don't like Emmanuel. I love Emmanuel Mosley. But if you were to ask me who had the higher ceiling, give me a Killer Witherspoon. Give me a Killer Witherspoon. If he goes to New England or stays within the NFC West and goes to a team like the Seattle Seahawks, who we don't know what's going on with Quentin Dunbar, or goes to like the Arizona Cardinals, who don't have Patrick Peterson or Drake Kirkpatrick coming back, or Robert Alford coming back, that's taking one rival from one team and having him on your team. One man's trash is another man's treasure, man. You guys all know the saying there. I like these sayings. All right, let's keep going. Landon Meyer said he's the Dante Pettis of the defense. Ooh. So you're saying a Killer Witherspoon is the Dante Pettis of the defense. Oh. Well, that's a bad take, in my opinion, because actually a Killer Witherspoon had some good games, and everyone was on a Killer Witherspoon's sack because he was doing so well. But you're saying that he's just as bad as Dante Pettis, who is now off to the New York Giants. I would disagree with that. I totally disagree with that. But hey, we can all have different opinions. That's fine. Tell me why you say that, and I will go ahead and provide my analysis as to why I think my viewpoint is correct. All right. Jay Eli from YouTube says, let Williams, Verret, and Juice test and leave in free agency. Release Jimmy Garoppolo. Start from there, financially wise, money-wise. So many holes to fill. Can't be spending big money. Options to fill the position in questions. Options to fill the positions in question. Well, you're going to have to solidify the offensive line. That's first and foremost. So we have to start there. And it's just going to be interesting to see how this all goes. All right, so let's move on. We will go ahead and, oh, my boy Alex, again, with the question or with his analysis. Yeah, look at him. He's spot on. I'm just saying, what do y'all think about Killer Witherspoon? You guys think he's the Dante Pettis of the defense? I don't know about that one, man. At least Killer Witherspoon started some games. I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one for me. All right. So I don't know what you guys think about a Killer Witherspoon, but I like him. I like a Killer Witherspoon. I think he still has potential. And what I see in Killer Witherspoon's game, again, if you were to compare him out of this 2021 cornerback draft class, would he be ranked number one? Obviously not. I think Patrick Surtain would be ranked higher. I think guys like J.C. Horn would be ranked higher. But when it comes to Caleb Farley or Killer Witherspoon, I think they're neck and neck. And if you're looking for what's called an HWS standpoint, height, weight, speed standpoint, I would say that a Killer Witherspoon has the best height, weight, speed of any corner coming out of this draft. Mark that down. All right, let's move on. Kino Daniel, what's going on? He says from Twitter, you just need a good quarterback who takes multiple pay cuts and you can be on the top for a while. Yes, that's true. But we have to see how that plays out. All right, shoot me over your questions. I'll be sure to answer them. But what do you guys take on the 49ers cornerback situation? Provide your analysis. I'd love to hear it. Should they roll with Jason Verrett? Let him walk if it means not signing him to a $10, $12 million a year contract, which I think that's the market that he's going to be requesting and ultimately getting. Now, whether that's in the New York Giants, or not New York Giants, I'm thinking New York Giants because Dante Pettis, but whether it's the Jacksonville Jaguars, New York Jets, teams like the Carolina Panthers, Denver Broncos, Dallas Cowboys, Arizona Cardinals, New England Patriots, Washington football team, all those teams have needs for a cornerback, and all those fit what Jason Verrett can do in terms of a scheme-based defense perspective. You take it a step further, they also have the financial salary cap flexibility to go ahead and make a play for a Jason Verrett. So then it also, to peel back another layer of the onion to really get to the core, as I always say, you can then provide draft flexibility heading into the draft, because no longer, if you're sitting there at number 8 into the Carolina Panthers, and even though cornerback Patrick Surtain may be on the board, you can then roll the other way and surely take Micah Parsons, which I stated in an earlier podcast. Why? Because the team released free safety Trey Boston earlier last week. When you release Trey Boston, that leaves a gaping hole at free safety. Well, we already know in Phil Snow's defense, he likes to use Jeremy Chin in a lot of different roles. He's ultimately set as the Sam linebacker, but he can play boundary cornerback, slot, and even on the back end of the secondary. You then roll over Jeremy Chin to cover Trey Boston's spot at free safety, and that will leave a natural Sam position open for Micah Parsons at number 8, who is a natural position player because there's a sideline to sideline presence rather opposed to being simply a Mike linebacker. So you guys can see how this plays out. And if a team like the Denver Broncos or like the Carolina Panthers or like the Dallas Cowboys choose to go with a guy like Jason Verrett in free agency, they will have other needs heading in to the draft with their first round pick. All right, let's move on. Luis from Facebook says, Verret is too injury prone, not enough non-injury seasons to think that he will stay healthy. I like JC Horn too. If you guys follow me on my podcast, he's actually my number 2 ranked cornerback. My cornerback Twitter, YouTube receipts never lie. I'm usually spot on. Actually, I've never been wrong on those. I'm spot on when it comes to my cornerback analysis. Back in 2014, people said Justin Gilbert was the top ranked cornerback coming out of that draft. I said, no, he's not. I said Jason Verrett and Kyle Fuller are way better than him. Look at today. Where's Justin Gilbert? Half of you guys don't even know who Justin Gilbert is, I bet. Yes, he came out of Oklahoma State. What's up with these Oklahoma State first-round busts? Or no, Rashawn Woods, some of these other guys. Oh, my gosh. Now, I'm not throwing shade at OSU. R.W. McQuarters. Oh, my gosh. I liked R.W. McQuarters. Anyways, you guys get the point. Let's move on. All right. Rachi from YouTube says, if the Niners draft and a quarterback and get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo, do you think they go sign a vet quarterback or stick with Beathard and Mullins as the backup? That's a great question. So your question is, if they get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo and they draft a quarterback, do they go with a vet? Yes. I think they're going to go with a vet. I think they keep Nick Mullins. I really do believe they're going to keep Nick Mullins because Nick Mullins is a good quarterback. I like Nick Mullins. I know he has some mental lapses, but man, I don't know. There's something in Nick Mullins' game I like. Maybe it's this Glenn Stinglinger mentality. I don't know. I like Nick Mullins, but I can see them going after a serviceable veteran just to kind of mentor the younger guy. And that ultimately may be the smarter play because at the end of the day, when you have a rookie coming in, you kind of want a backup or a mentor aside from the positional coach, whoever that coach is, right? Whether it's in Carolina, whether it's in New York, whoever that quarterback coach is, you always want that extra ear talking to that young quarterback to gain another perspective, especially from a player's perspective. And I believe a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick would be a smart play. I like Ryan Fitzpatrick, and it's not just because of his first name. All right. Let's go. Sanjo Sunny from YouTube says, which team do you think has the cap space and interest to sign Verret and Juice? Jets. Yes, ultimately, Jets are going to be the front runner for any talk of any free agent from the San Francisco 49ers moving on to a new team. Why? Because the Jets have the most needs of any NFL team in the NFL, outside of maybe the Detroit Lions, right? So when you take that into account, obviously, Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas are going to be tied to any free agent on the 49ers roster who's available. But I don't see a guy like Trent Williams going to the New York Jets because they already drafted Mekhi Becton in the first round last year, who already manned the blind side. So with that being said, every other position is up for grabs, and I can see Jason Verrett going to the New York Jets because they obviously have the cap space. I mentioned some other teams earlier. You look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, you got the New York Jets, Denver Broncos, Dallas Cowboys. You have Washington football team, New England Patriots, which can be another one. Arizona Cardinals would be another one. Don't count out the Seattle Seahawks. They always seem to take 49ers players. I don't know. No one's talking about Ronald Blair, but Ronald Blair, to me, even though he hasn't played since 2019, he's a player that would be someone that you kind of want to resign because when healthy, he's a baller. And don't be surprised if Ronald Blair goes to the Seattle Seahawks. I'm saying it right now. Do not be surprised if Ronald Blair goes to the Seattle Seahawks. Twitter receipt, mark it down. I said that's at the 34-minute and 38-second mark. Ronald Blair to the Seattle Seahawks. My bold prediction. All right. What is up? This is Fred Warner Sr. Is the San Francisco Darnold speculation I keep hearing true? Is 49ers looking at him? Well, that is a great question. I'm not so sure if the Sam Darnold speculation is true. What I do know is if they were to make a play for Sam Darnold, I'm looking at it from GM John Lynch's perspective. I think it would be a smart play because I think these are the critical factors that Kyle Shanahan covets in a quarterback. Some of the things that you see in Sam Darnold's game, you can kind of paint the picture and connect the dots as to why he would like a quarterback like Sam Darnold while not giving up the farm. Obviously, you never want to give up Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, or George Kittle, your foundational core players, as part of any deal. If you can leverage keeping those guys in-house while just giving up draft capital in return to a team like the New York Jets, because they need draft capital because they have the most needs of any NFL team. The more dartboards, the more darts you have to throw at the board, the better off you will be. I'm not going to say that they're false, but I'm not going to say that the talks are not being discussed. I actually wrote an earlier podcast on why it would make sense. Now, is that actually going to play out? That remains to be seen, because at the end of the day, I think Joe Douglas, the GM of the New York Jets, and Robert Saleh are still kind of figuring out what they want to do with the quarterback situation, especially with Deshaun Watson still lingering in the back of their minds. He obviously has a no-trade clause, but at the end of the day, if he waives that no-trade clause and opts to sign with a team like the New York Giants, like the New York Jets, and wants that all-gas, no-break mentality and really buys into the culture that they're trying to establish there in New York, and he would be the forefront and basically the face of the franchise moving forward, that's definitely something that could be in play. But again, there's a lot of moving parts, and whether or not the 49ers ultimately make a trade for Sam Darnold remains to be seen. But it wouldn't surprise me at all that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan would pull the trigger, simply because when you look at the quarterback market, there's no guarantees. You're just projecting, right? Well, with Sam Darnold, you're still projecting because, again, look at the supporting cast, or the lack thereof, that he has in New York. He doesn't have an offensive line. He doesn't have real weapons outside of Jamison Crowder. The running game is shot. So exactly what does Sam Darnold have working for him? If he slapped Jimmy Garoppolo behind center, even Pat Mahomes, how much success would they really have? So when you take that into account, I think Kyle Shanahan's looking at it like, man, he hasn't had anything to work with in New York. But let's see if we bring him here without giving up my guys, would it be worth it based on the draft capital that we're going to have to yield? So that's a great question. Ultimately, time will tell in the end. All right, let's move on. Thank you for your question, Pandemonia 435. I really appreciate the love and support. Thank you for tuning in, buddy. All right, Horacio Flores, is Sam Darnold really an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo? I wouldn't say he's necessarily an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo. However, with that being said, I think Jimmy Garoppolo needs a fresh slate and a fresh start, simply because it's hard for anybody, whether it's me, whether it's you, to go into a working environment knowing in the back of your mind that the boss doesn't want you there. Your coworkers coworkers would be the players, but management doesn't want you there. And ultimately, they're the ones that you have to impress to keep a job. And they're looking elsewhere, interviewing someone else upstairs to take your job. How can you actually have success and have a successful workday, a 9-to-5 workday, when you see someone upstairs and he's interviewing for your job? Yes, the NFL is all about iron sharpens iron. I get it. But when you have a quarterback that helps you get to the Super Bowl back in 2019, and that locker room was so strong supporting Jimmy Garoppolo, and then you have others who really, they're on the fence about Jimmy Garoppolo because they know in the back of their minds that they can get an upgrade at the position, especially the management side. They think the same way. That's putting unfair pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo, because if you're really trying to put him in the best position to make plays, you would downplay those rumors right away. You'd be like, okay, we're not discussing any trade rumors. Jimmy Garoppolo is our starter. We signed into this long-term deal. We still believe in Jimmy G. And we're placing our full trust, moving all in on Jimmy Garoppolo. They're not saying it. Why? Because they know in the back of their minds they're looking to upgrade. They did it last year with Tom Brady. They did it this year with Matthew Stafford and Deshaun Watson. We still don't know what's going on with Deshaun Watson, Matthew Stafford, and then obviously Sam Darnold. So we really don't know what's going on. And why was Fred Warner not given a contract extension yet? Could he be a chess piece in a possible trade scenario with Jimmy Garoppolo? I mean, come on, let's be real about it. Let's be real about it. Why hasn't Fred Warner been given an extension? Could it be because he is a part of a blockbuster deal, along with Jimmy Garoppolo, for whoever that quarterback is in return? Yeah, think about that. Yeah, got real quiet. Got real quiet there. All right. Camelot's Red and Gold says, bring back hitting, roughing the passer should be one dude. Yes. Bring back football. This is not football in today's NFL. I'm a defensive guy. Everyone knows I bring a defensive mentality, but at the end of the day, be fair about it. Football is a contact sport. You don't like it, don't play. Injuries are going to happen. In fact, I'd be quick to argue that if you play scared, you're more likely to get injured than you are if you played fearless. If you play scared, you're going to get hurt. If you play it aggressive, odds are you won't get hurt. I don't know. That's me. All right. Andrew Schaefer from YouTube says, 100% Fire needs to resign Warner if they plan to before roll call. Thank you. Thank you so much, Andrew. This is why I love YouTube. Not because you agree with me, but no, it makes total sense. If you don't re-sign Fred Warner now, you are doing yourself a disservice, bro. It's only going to go up. And Fred Warner, if you're tuning into this, do not take a hometown discount. Do not. I got your back on this, bro. Do not. I don't care what the fans think. You got to get paid. You got to look out for yourself, bro. You're getting paid less than $1 million per year annually for the better half of 2 years. Bobby Wagner getting paid $18 million per year annually, bro. You were overdue $17 million in overdue money for the last 2 years because you outplayed Bobby Wagner. And now you're a first-team All-Pro. So you're already due $34 million in front due money in that next contract. That's already off the book. That's already should be a given. Anything on top of that, that's where it starts. That's where negotiating starts. And if the Niners aren't willing to give you what you're due, which is $18 to $20 million per year annually, hey, my hat's off to you. If you want to go somewhere else, bro, I got your back on that. DeForest Buckner ultimately did it because he knows his worth, and you should too. All right, Florian's Ultimate Report. What is up, bro? I see you. Thank you for tuning in. If the Verret news of testing the market is it possible that Jason Verrett could leave? Yes. Absolutely, the Jason Verrett could leave. And I don't know where that's going to be, but yes, he definitely can leave for sure. In fact, I'm not so sure they're going to re-sign him. I'm not sure they're going to re-sign him. But it's going to be interesting how they play this because at the end of the day, we really don't know. They haven't done anything. I mean, free agency is about to begin. Free agency frenzy. We're all on NFL Network reading that ticker. What's going on? Like, you know, what's going on? What's going on? What's happening? All of us are like fiending for that information. Like, oh my gosh, like what's going on, dude? Like, what's going on with Jason Verrett? What about Trent Williams? Oh my God, Greg Rosenthal just said he'd be the highest paid free agent this year. Oh no, that's not good for us Niner fans. That's not good. Oh, he's ranked number 2. Oh, that's not good. Oh no, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. Well, maybe you shouldn't have signed some of these other free agents, John Lynch, and got damaged goods in return or one-year wonders. Just saying. All right. You shot yourself in the foot, bro. All right. Ronald Bowen said when he locked in, he's good. Yes. When Jason Verrett is locked in, he's very good. He is very, very good. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. Shoot me over those questions. I'll be sure to answer them. I really like when I broke the news on Fred Warner because everybody was saying, well, not everybody. I mean, those who don't know or don't know who I am, they're like, oh, that's fake news. Okay. Back on November 3rd, bro. Check the YouTube Twitter receipts now, bro. How's that looking, bro? There's a reason why the people follow me, bro. All right. Let's move on. LL Mel from YouTube says, thank you for tuning in. First of all, this is the first comment you have dropped on my channel. Welcome to the BEASTwriter family where social media engagement is encouraged. Appreciate the love. Again, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel, go ahead and do so. Open up a YouTube account and hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of your screen as you stay up to date on all things Beast in real time. I'm off the Twitter tube. the Twitter tube. I'm off the Twitter on the tube, so be sure to watch my Twitter and YouTube receipts in real time here. This is the place to be. Again, if you're on Twitter, go ahead and open an account. You can do that by clicking the link in my bio. It'll shoot you over to the YouTube page where you can go ahead and hit the subscribe button. That way you'll be entered to win weekly giveaways, which is this 49ers game day pennant at the last game at Candlestick, or what's more commonly known, the pick at the stick, thanks to Navarro Bowman. All right, let's move on. 49ers Bud 73 says, do you think they will use the franchise tag? If you already spoke on this, sorry, I missed it. No, don't be sorry. First of all, 49 Bud, one of my most loyal followers on Twitter. Love this guy. Supports Bay Area Rooted. Caught some gear. Really likes our swag. So thank you for supporting us. But no, getting back to your question, bro. I don't think they're going to use a franchise tag on Jason Verrett, ultimately because that will be resetting the market. Like, he's not worth that much money or that much value. So I wouldn't franchise tag Jason Verrett or Trent Williams. They can't tag Trent Williams, thanks to his agent who said, no, sir. You cannot tag Trent Williams. Not today. I'm joking. I'm not sure he said it like that, but that's funny though, right? I'm going crazy right now. All right, 49ers Ultimate Report says, my opinion is keep the best player that can save money. If K1 and Verret are allowed money, just like you said, Beast, NFL is a business, man. I'm telling you, as much as it is a risk-reward business, it is a financial business at the end of the day. It's $1 billion business with a B, right? So, yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. If you guys have any questions, shoot them my way. I'll be sure to answer them. It doesn't have to pertain to the San Francisco 49ers. I can talk about all 32, as you guys know this already. That's why the BEASTwriter family is growing at the rate that it is, because I'm getting fans from all 32 fan bases, whether it's the Seattle Seahawks, whether it's the San Francisco 49ers, whether it's the Oakland or Las Vegas Raiders, LA Rams, LA Chargers, Arizona Cardinals, Carolina Panthers, Atlanta Falcons, Cincinnati Bengals, Pittsburgh Steelers. I have fans from them recently because I've been putting out some podcasts, really like what I had to say. And yeah, the traction on the BEASTwriter family is growing. So do me a solid. We're trying to monetize this thing. We cannot monetize until we hit the number of hours watched. We're actually on point. And if we do this and hit this right, and I do more live streams and you guys come in and chime in and leave discussions like this, obviously for YouTube rankings, it's going to go through the roof. As I'm looking at my analytics, it's already going through the roof. And the engagement here is where it's at. So yeah, please do me a solid. Anytime I post a video, whether it's on Facebook group, Facebook fan page, whether it's on Twitter, do me a solid, retweet that out, and let other people know what we are about here in the BEASTwriter family, where social media engagement is encouraged. It's have some fun, and I do weekly giveaways and milestone giveaways. So yeah. What's up, Michael from YouTube? Michael is one of my loyal followers on YouTube. He chimes into all my live streams. Thank you for tuning in, Michael. I appreciate the love, bro. You're the best. Anyways, what's up, brother? I feel JV and Trent will be back. Yes. Ooh. But does money over team matter to them? At the end of the day, Michael, great question. This is where the fans' perspective gets skewed, or I feel like they're a little biased. I mean, me being a diehard 49er fan myself at one point before covering the NFL media, we have a certain connection to players, right? We get emotional when it comes to certain players. Anytime I remember back when Julian Peterson was holding out, or he was disgruntled about his contract, right? I was like, oh, that sucks, dude. He should take a hometown discount. As a fan, right? I'm thinking like, dude, what the heck is this guy like? Oh, he's going to leave us? Like, what the heck? You know, and then he left for the Seattle Seahawks. I was like, oh my God. JP was one of my favorite players. I was upset at the time. The reason I bring that up is because I see your guys' point of view. I know, trust me on this. I was a diehard fan in the media before covering the team in the San Jose Mercury News. I was always on TV on KPIX, KTVU during the playoff runs, always in the videos. If you go back and watch the Harbaugh days during the videos, front row and center, you see me screaming at the top of my lungs in the 49ers video. But no, yes, I see your point, but at the end of the day, it's a business. And I wouldn't necessarily say because a player is holding out, he's doing it just because of the money. I think it comes down to principle. The principle is, are you going to pay me what I'm worth? Put yourself in the player's shoe. A lot of us live here in Silicon Valley in the Bay Area. If you worked for a startup and that startup grew and you had stock options in that company, okay, cool. Now we're going to go IPO. We're going to go public with this. We're going to be on the NASDAQ. We're going to be on the New York Stock Exchange, wherever the case may be. Wouldn't you want more money after the fact because you helped build it from its infancy stages to where they are today? Or would you say, oh, you know what? I've been with you since day one. I'm willing to take a pay cut. I'm willing to take a pay cut to stay. And yeah, because I just like the company. I believe in the company. No. Why? Because at some point, there's a fine line between financially what you're being valued at and ultimately what the company respects you at. There's a fine line there, and you have to meet in the middle. Now, if Fred Warner is getting paid anything less than $18 to $20 million, not in a backloaded deal, he needs a front-loaded deal. He's not like Eric Armstead banking on a one-year wonder. We already know what we're getting with Fred Warner, the best middle linebacker in the NFL, first-team All-Pro. So, not throwing shade at Eric Armstead, but it is what it is. I mean, he got paid $85 million. My hat's off to him. Congratulations. But we already know what we're getting with Fred Warner, which is why everyone's talking about Fred Warner. What's going to happen with Fred Warner? If he holds out or if he's upset for any reason because the 49ers are unwilling to give him a long-term extension that he thinks that he deserves, and I think what he deserves, don't blame the guy. You guys can come at me. Leave Fred alone. Come at me. I got Fred's back on this. If you guys have any issues with Fred Warner getting paid what he's worth, because we all want to feel valued by our respective team or by our respective company, don't get mad at Fred Warner. He's just looking out what he needs to do for his best interest, period. That's all I got to say about that. So at the end of the day, I don't think it's about the money. I think it's more about the respect. Respect is earned. Fred Warner earned it. All right, let's move on. Oh, look at my next question. We have Douglas Maldonado from YouTube. Thank you for tuning in, Douglas. I really appreciate the love and support. Again, if you're just tuning in, be sure to hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of your screen as you stay up to date on all things Beast in real time. Also, if you check out the lighting to see my ugly face here, I got this little thing called a ring that's in the back of my computer right now. I tested it out first time last night, and I was rewatching my video, and I looked washed out, bro. I looked horrible. This whole lighting, I was doing some research on the 3-point lighting and all these little different gadgets and I'm like, dude, I just want to do a podcast. How much money is this going to cost? Like, really, bro? I have to get a Blue Yeti? This legit a Blue Yeti, this microphone now. You don't see me with the headphones now. Trying to take my podcast game to the next level. Then I got this ring light here. Now I got to get a backlight here to drown out this little right here. I guess people were like, your shiny head, bro. So I have to wear a beanie now. I'm joking. I'm joking a little bit, but you guys get the point. There's a lot of behind the scenes work going on here in this little studio I have. I thought it'd be fun just to say that. But no, I honestly did not think I was going to buy a ring light. For the longest time, I was like, I'm not going to buy a ring light, bro. Like, people are like, dude, you need a ring light. I go to the gym. My friend Manny, who follows me on this podcast, he goes, I watch all your podcasts, but your lighting is just flushed out. So I get this ring light. There's different settings. There's like a warm setting, a cold setting, or a cool setting, where they call it natural lighting setting. I'm like, I'm toggling through like, what the heck is all this? Like, what is this? I don't know. I still don't know if I'm doing it right. But if you guys like the lighting, if this is the perfect lighting for my complexion, let me know. Because I have no idea how this works, bro. I'm just playing it by ear or by watching YouTube videos, the how-to videos. I don't know if you guys watch the YouTube videos on how-to, but there's a lot of how-to, and everybody has an answer, and you're like looking like, wait, this dude says one thing, this girl says another on the same thing. I'm confused. So I just go by feel. based on my complexion. All right, Michael Thomas says, my dream would be we draft a fresh O-line. We did well when we drafted Mike Iupati and big Anthony Davis during the Harbaugh days. Thoughts? Yes, I like that mentality. I spoke to Frank Gore about this earlier in his career. When me and Frank Gore would kick it outside of covering the 49ers, I did a lot of his events at Shoe Palace. But yeah, getting back to what Frank Gore said, he said, man, that was the best draft ever. I loved it. Like, we got 2 offensive linemen. I had no help prior. I was working with guys like, well, he didn't say this, but he was working with guys like David Boss, a 2nd-round pick out of Michigan, I believe. Adam Snyder, 3rd-round pick out of Oregon. Can't remember, I'm believing. If I'm getting this right, I think he was drafted like number 68 overall or something. I don't know. He was working with those types of guys, which they were good. They were serviceable. But they weren't on the level of Anthony Davis and Mike Iupati. Iupati was a throwing Samoan. Anthony Davis was the most athletically gifted left tackle that, at the time, strength and conditioning coach Mark Uyama said was the most athletic guy he has seen at that height and that size. He was amazed by how quick and nimble his feet were. Still keep in touch with my boy Mark Uyama, who is now the strength and conditioning coach of the Minnesota Vikings. I've given you love, Mark Uyama. Go get him, Uy. But getting back to Frank Gore and the offensive line, yes, I wouldn't be surprised if they went after a guy named Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern. His pro day is set to be in a couple days. I'm going to be interviewing him virtually, of course, when that day rolls around. So stay tuned for that. All right, let's move on. What is up, Mel? Mel is one of my biggest supporters on YouTube. Thank you so much, Mel. I appreciate the love and support you've been giving me as we continue to grow the BEASTwriter family. All right, she says, hi, Ryan. Sorry I'm late to the party, but don't be sorry, first of all. No apologies necessary. All right, we all have jobs. We all have different tasks we have to do. I get it. I mean, it's not like every time someone's like, oh my gosh, I missed the BEASTwriter family. I missed it. Don't worry, it's okay. But I love that you're in here. Yes, I love that you're in here. I absolutely look forward to when you leave comments like this. So your question, but if we're throwing names in the ring for cornerbacks, what are your thoughts on Kellen Mond? I'm not a fan of Kellen Mond. I'm not a big fan of Kellen Mond. I know some people are. I'm just not. He has great mechanics, or I should say good mechanics to work with, but I'm not high on Kyle Trask either. I'm not high on either one of those quarterbacks. I'd rather have a guy like Zach Wilson. I'd rather have a guy like Justin Fields and Kellen Mond. I guess I would have Justin Fields over Kellen Mond, but yeah, I'm not as high on Kellen Mond as some of these other people. Now, am I wrong in my analysis? Time will tell, but I just don't see it. But then again, I like the tangibles and the critical factors that Kellen Mond has. He can make all the throws. He's very smart. He goes through his progression. So things he can work with when you're looking at it from a scouting perspective, all the traits are there. The majority of the traits are there. The question for me is consistency. Consistency is key. Can he be consistent enough to really do it at the NFL level? Because at some point, these NFL defensive coordinators are going to game plan to them where, hey, let's show a cover 3 pre-snap and then roll over to a cover 1, or let's do cover 5, cover 5 scheme where it's just man underneath 2 deep zone. And let's kind of just mirror some coverages there to kind of confuse this rookie quarterback. These are some things that I think Kellen Mond needs to learn as in every NFL quarterback. But again, it comes down to consistency. I broke down the play on Kellen Mond where Patrick Surtain broke on the ball. You can watch this in my game film breakdown. I'll include that in the description below. But you can really see Patrick Surtain just knowing exactly where the ball was going before the ball was placed. And he did not throw that ball with accuracy. But that's just one sample size. That's just one throw. But that's just one throw because of the point making is consistency. All right. Jerry Yang from YouTube says Seattle released Carlos Dunlap, a guy worth looking at. I liked Carlos Dunlap. If you watched my earlier codcast, I'm calling it codcast now. Like cod. You know why I say codcast? Because I eat cod as part of my prep for my competition. Yes, I have to eat cod. I go to Costco, eat cod. 6 ounces of cod with 4 ounces of white rice my coach gives me, and then 3 ounces of asparagus. Try eating that 4 meals out of the day. It sucks. No seasoning. You can't have Mrs. Dash. None of that. Just plain caught. Like, you're just eating just to eat. Like, it's not even enjoyable. Anyways, podcast. If you watch my earlier podcast on this, you would know that I spoke about making sense of Carlos Dunlap to the Seattle Seahawks and why it would make sense and the impact that he would have. Ultimately, that Twitter and YouTube receipt panned out. Fast forward to today, Carlos Dunlap was owed a ton of money. So the Seattle Seahawks made that midseason trade for the Cincinnati Bengals, ultimately getting a half-year rental player. He helped the pass rush a lot. I think from the time he stepped onto the field in Seattle, he had a similar impact that Jamal Adams had in terms of the pass rush. However, his high 2021 cap number allowed the team to go in a different direction. So with his age, he's the all-time Cincinnati Bengals sack leader. Look at picking up Bengals fans as we speak. And this is why I think that Carlos Dunlap would be a nice addition from an edge rushing standpoint, because he is a one-trick pony. I'm not going to say he's not, but he can bring the pain. And what the cost or what the asking price is, because again, he had a very high cap number with Seattle. Is he willing to take a pay cut to stay within the NFC West? And what is that number ultimately? Because again, I already talked about the edge class in 2021. It's weak sauce. So I see the 49ers targeting a free agent like a Carlos Dunlap. But again, it's going to come at what asking price. Is this a 1 to 2 year rental player, or are you looking to reach a long-term agreement with him? Now, you got to take his age into account. He's an aging player. He's on the wrong side of 30. So with that being said, we just have to see how that one plays out. I love picking up Bengals fans. Not too many Bengals fans out there, but I got love for the Bengals. Hey, seize the day, bro. I got you guys. Love talking about Penei Sewell with you at number 5. All right, 49ers Ultimate Report says from YouTube, most NFL fans forget that top college quarterbacks never land with the best team. Yes, when Patrick Mahomes wasn't drafted to Exactly. Juan Madero from Facebook says John Lynch did recently come out and said Jimmy G was their quarterback. Well, he always says that. He also told me that Mike McGlinchey was a Pro Bowl left tackle before he drafted him. So, yeah, you can read between the lines. And, of course, he also said that, and Kyle Shanahan also said that he liked Eric Armstead because of his ability to stop the run. He thought he was an elite run stuffer. Just saying. Don't believe everything the coach or the GM says, because a lot of times it's just to avoid the smoke that's coming forward. Also, Niner Faithful from Facebook says, what up with KB? I don't know what's going on with KB, bro. I like my boy Kendrick Bourne. I like his swag. I like his dancing. But can he hold on to the ball consistently? I don't know. But I like him. I think the team would be wise to keep Kendrick Bourne, because if he was to go to another team like the New York Jets, I think you can possibly see an 800 to 900 receiver, simply because they don't have much depth there. And if they don't draft a wide receiver at number 2, or if they trade back at number 2 and don't select a wide receiver, which I don't see that happening, because I think one of those players is going to be Devontae Smith or Jamar Chase from LSU. But should they go in a different direction and Kendrick Bourne ends up being the wide receiver 2 opposite of Jamison Crowder, that could be something to watch, man. He could be something to watch. All right, let's go. Kevin Jeter from YouTube says, keep those questions coming. We have a lot of questions. My gosh, I'm playing catch up here. All right, if JC Horn came on draft day is on the board and we don't take him, it almost seems like we're passing on the future All-Pro. He's currently training with Jalen Ramsey in LA. Kevin Jeter from YouTube, thank you for tuning in. You know what I've been saying on YouTube. If you don't follow me on YouTube, do yourself a favor. Subscribe to my channel. I run giveaways. What BEASTwriter does that? No one, because there's no one called the BEASTwriter, number 1. Number 2, I run really fun, cool giveaways, but no one really does this, right? I mean, who does this? I'm not making a penny off these channels right now. It's all out of love, and I love my job, and I love what I'm doing here and what I'm building in the BEASTwriter family community, where social media engagement is encouraged. So do yourself a solid. If you're watching on Twitter, honestly, click the link in the bio. There is a link that forwards you to my subscribing channel, and all you have to do is click and open up a YouTube account like you did with Twitter. Same thing if you're on Instagram. My Twitter is there for you guys, or not Twitter. My YouTube is there for you guys. Also on YouTube, you can subscribe in the lower right-hand corner right here, and it will forward you to the subscription channel. All right, let's go ahead and move on. I like JC Horn a lot, man. JC Horn is the real deal. All right. JP, my bad, JP. He's an Arizona Cardinals fan. Thank you for tuning in, buddy. He says, other players also see how they are treating Jimmy, and they will choose to sign somewhere else when money is equal. Why signed with Arizona? Because the team was really supportive of Hopkins. Yes, absolutely. JP is one of the most loyal followers, even though he's an Arizona Cardinal fan. And again, this is what the BEASTwriter family is all about. Getting all 32 fan bases enrolled into one, where we can all engage in a social media healthy debate, right? I feel like when you're on social media platforms like Twitter or Facebook or some of the other ones, everyone's trying to outdo the other one. I know more than you. You know more than me. You don't know more than me. What are you talking about? You're and then the name calling and cyberbullying starts, and everyone's tough behind the keyboard, bro. Like, that don't mean anything. Like, everybody wants to try to be a keyboard gangster, bro. Like, okay, like, oh, I got this guy. Yeah, I got him here. Oh, now I'm really going to get him. Yeah, okay, cool story, bro. Really? Swipe left, bro. Get out of here. All right, let's move on. Mark Booker from Facebook says, hello, we need a good quarterback. Yes, a backup quarterback. Yes, we need a backup quarterback. Could you play quarterback? Because I can't. But no, they need a good backup quarterback. I do like Nick Mullins. I'm not high on CJ Beathard. I thought that was a horrible move to begin with. People tend to forget that was John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan's guy. That's why they traded up in the third round to get him. And one would think that George Kittle would have CJ Beathard's back and come out and say, you know what? Why not give CJ Beathard a chance? Because he was my quarterback in college. That'd be an interesting topic for discussion. If George Kittle came out and said, you know what? I played with CJ Beathard. I think we can actually win with CJ Beathard. What if Jimmy Garoppolo was obviously to be shipped out? He wouldn't say that with Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster, obviously, but that'd be a good question to ask. So George, what do you think about CJ Beathard? You know, do you think he could have the same success that Jimmy had? That's a good question. Do you think he can lead you guys to the Super Bowl? That'd be a good question. I'm putting it out there for you guys. So those who cover the team religiously, go ahead and ask that question. You can piggyback on that one. Just give me credit for it. All right. Michael Thomas from YouTube says, hey, brother, here's my big man question. Oh, I got to look big now. I'm joking. Do you think this is the draft? I'm going crazy. Do you think this is the draft that makes or breaks our season? I feel they need to hit on the last 5 picks. Yes, I do. Why? Because I'd already talked about the Buckner effect in an earlier podcast. I talked about why John Lynch should be on the hot seat from all the questionable trades he's made and all the questionable strikes he missed out on day 1 picks and day 2 picks, the top 2 picks in the draft. So with that being said, and then you mortgage the future by him targeting half-year rental players or 1-year rental players because you're giving up third-round draft capital in return. So now you have to spin your wheels trading back 1 spot to draft Javon Kinlaw when you should have just took Tristan Wirfs, the blindside left tackle, to replace Joe Staley, and then you have to mortgage the future again by then going after Trent Williams, giving up another third-round pick because you had to give up your half-year rental player for the Emmanuel Sanders trade of the year prior. Yes, this is a make-or-break year, and that's why Adam Peters was named the assistant GM. It's not by coincidence. Come on, man. And he's a Monte Vista guy, so he's from Cupertino. So I got love for my Monte Vista fam. Not like I went to Monte Vista, but my mom went to Homestead, which are the rivals, but yeah. Bay Area kid. All right. Rashi from YouTube says, would you consider this offseason a success if the Niners got Deshaun Watson but couldn't resign any of the remaining free agents? That's a great question. That is a great question. You know, Richie, thank you from YouTube. This is a great question. I really want to think about this one. Would I consider this offseason? You know, anytime you get a Deshaun Watson, you have to consider it a success. because you're getting Deshaun Watson, the top 5 franchise quarterback. I don't think anyone could argue that. Everyone knows my stance on how you don't give up foundational core players. But if you were to get a Deshaun Watson, ultimately you have to give a passing grade. With that being said, how is that going to affect the locker room dynamic? If you have to give up Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, or Jerry Kittle, George Kittle, I wouldn't give it a passing grade. Simply because the locker room dynamic is so strong with those foundational core players. If you trade Fred Warner, who is the heart and soul of the defense for the 2nd consecutive season, all pro, what kind of message does that send to the defensive players? Because now you're re-signing your offensive players like George Kittle. So are you now favoring the offense more so than the defense? I mean, someone has to think about that. We all know Kyle Shanahan obviously favors the offense. He's an offensive guy. They obviously made rental. Think about this. Pulling back another, in my head, let's connect the dots here. Let's talk offense. Out of all the moves that were made in free agency through trade, when it comes to the half or 1 year rental players, what side of the football were they focused on? It was on offense. Emmanuel Sanders, Trent Williams. All right. I am just having so much fun here. This is legit. LL Mel says, oh, hey, that's what's up. I'm down. I can use all the tips I can get, man. I'm sure you're looking at the lighting like, bro, your complexion is totally off. If you change the lighting, you'll get 25 new subscribers. If you use this hashtag, you'll get 30 more subscribers. No, I'm serious. I'm down for the help because I don't know if this is working right here. I mean, the light is like booming on my eyeballs. Like it's like piercing through my soul. Like you guys can't see it, but my gosh, I'm like blinded. It's like looking at the sun. I swear this is really bright. I can lower the density on this thing or the brightness level or what the heck they call this thing. Let me try this. I don't know. Oh, what's that? I don't want to mess it up. There's something going on here. It's like tweaking now. What's going on? I have no idea what's going on here. All right, let's move on to the questions. This light ring thing. Look it up. There's a thing called a ring. I swear, it's a little ring that's like zooming on you, like. That's what I feel like. Do you have any insight about what this front office thinks about Alex Smith returns as a possible? I like Alex Smith. Me and Jerry Yang talked about this on our last live stream on Monday. If you guys have yet to catch us, we are on, it's a weekly scheduled segment that's on my podcast called Yang Mondays. It's at 2:30 p.m. For those who don't know or who are new to subscribing to my channel, I am launching a weekly podcast where you guys can tune in every day at 10:30 and at 2:30. 10:30 would be super late. Yeah, tune in at 10:30. You're like, dude, I'm sleeping, bro. At 2:30 p.m. every day, we have a weekly schedule segment dedicated to whatever it is we're discussing. So today, our host is Yang, as in Jerry Yang, for Yang Mondays at 2:30 p.m. Tomorrow is going to be Taco Tuesdays with your very own BEASTwriter discussing all things NFL at 2:30. On Wednesday, we then have, what do we have? We have Workout Wednesdays where I show a workout. And we also are on Two Bums in the Pod with my man Grant Cohn. That's at 11:30 p.m. On Thursday, we then have Jerry Yang's co-host Mike Tang for the Tang Thursday show at 2:30 p.m. And then Friday, we have Family Fridays at 2:30 p.m. with your very own BEASTwriter. So basically, every live stream throughout the week is at 2:30 p.m. And it's all fun and games, man. And if you miss it, don't worry. You can always play catch up after your work schedule's over or after you're done doing whatever it is you have to do, watching the kids, playing with the kids. Everybody has family. You're out doing stuff now that COVID has opened up here in the Bay Area. People are going, outdoor dining, indoor dining, living life, getting back to the norm. Just be sure to wear your mask still. And yeah, so we already talked about Alex Smith. We'll touch base on that at 2:30, which is 12:47 right now, as we continue this live stream. All right, what about Dwayne Haskins? Any thoughts on him? He may be able to battle out with Rosen or Fitzmagic for a positional if they trade Jimmy for another positional player. Let me just reread what you had to say, but I believe Dwayne Haskins is with the Pittsburgh Steelers, bro. I believe Dwayne Haskins is with the Pittsburgh Steelers. If I'm not mistaken, he is with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was like, wait, did I miss something? Because I'm pretty sure he re-signed with Pittsburgh Steelers. He did. He's with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's not going anywhere. So, yeah. He signed that contract, according to Wikipedia, on January 21st, 2021. All right, let's move on. Answering your questions. If you guys have any other questions besides the Jason Verrett, go ahead and kick them off to me. All right, Maxwell, who's your favorite kicking prospect in the draft? Mike Kofer, bro. If you guys don't know, remember Mike Kofer. He was the 49ers kicker. They also had Wade Ritchie, war number 7. They called him Wide Ritchie because he would miss all those field goals. Also had Gary Anderson over the years. What other kickers they have? Obviously, they had the kicker from the Philadelphia Eagles, David Akers. Oh man, Robbie Gould, of course, now. But gosh, the Niners had some bad place kickers early on. I remember Mike Kofer used to miss extra points. Like, that was just mind-boggling to me as a kid. I'm like, dude, it's like you're 2 yards out, bro. Like, how is that even possible? Like, you get paid to miss kicks. Like, I want to do that. I can miss kicks at the age of 9. Oh, all right. Oh, his question. Sorry, I missed your question. Do you think John Lynch survives another season if they have another losing season? No, I don't. I think John Lynch is out. I think Adam Peters in line to take that job. I think that's why he's named assistant GM, to maybe take on more responsibility, maybe because the team is trending downward. They made some questionable signings. Obviously, they re-signed Eric Armstead. They didn't keep DeForest Buckner in-house. Now you're looking at Fred Warner possibly leaving because there might be a contract snag there. You also have left tackle Trent Williams and wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders, who are basically half-year, 1-year rentals, and now you mortgage your future by giving up third-round picks. So it set the domino effect in motion, right? The dominoes are there, and everything in the Twitter receipts and everything that I said in real time are there. So if I'm seeing it, don't you think the Niners are seeing it? I don't know. That's what I think. That's what I think. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. LL Mel, your thoughts on bringing Alex Smith as a backup? I will touch base on this topic with my man Jerry Yang, so we have something to discuss at 2:30 p.m. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you get the notification of when we're going live there. I just said 2:30 p.m. But just in case, subscribe to my channel so you get the other uploaded content that I'll be posting later on this evening. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Woo! A lot to talk about, guys. I'm just going to go ahead and post some of your guys' comments so you guys can see what other people are saying in the social media platform, YouTube mainly. See, everybody's on YouTube. Look at this. Everybody's on YouTube. YouTube. I'm just saying, YouTube's the way to go if you want to follow me. That's why everyone's moving over and migrating over to my BEASTwriter family community over in YouTube. We're trying to grow the BEASTwriter family, and obviously it's working. It's trending up. Or as Jim Harbaugh would say, the arrow's pointing up with that guy. Guys, I miss Jim Harbaugh. Don't you guys miss Jim Harbaugh? I miss Jim Harbaugh. Man, he was good. All right, Alejandro Bermudez from Facebook. I will not trade any of the players you just mentioned for Watson. The only thing I will give are always picks, take it or leave it. Great analysis. Thank you for tuning in from Facebook. I agree with you, and which is why I say it's a no question, no deal for me. All right. YouTube. Lunar Mystic, thank you for tuning in. The Niners defense is top 5 while being the most injured team is impressive. Yes. When you say top 5, you're looking at what? What constitutes a top 5 defense? If everyone knows the answer to that off the top of their head, I give you props. If you don't, it's based on total yards allowed. For me, I don't like that. I go by scoring, defensive scoring, how many points are allowed. I care more about that than I do any statistic, any defensive statistic, because at the end of the day, it comes down to keeping other teams off the board. How do you do that? Points allowed. How many points allowed do you give up? So what's that number? I think anytime you give up less than 15 points in a game, you're doing well. 15 to 18 points. Let's just say 15, 18 points. Less than 20. Yeah, okay. All right. Jonathan Spencer, yo, we should have never been loyal to all those players that was hurt for 3 or 4 years because they got paid. We got screwed. Ooh, yikes. Can't disagree. Can't disagree. Mel says, cod pass. I don't envy your diet. Yes, my diet is horrible. Try eating cod 4 or 5 times a day. It's nasty. Like, it's gross. Like, no offense. If you love cod, hey, me, I'm like a taco guy. I'm a burrito guy. I'm a pizza guy. These are not sponsored places, but my place is over off Brandon Lane getting High Five Pizza. If you haven't heard of High Five Pizza, look it up. It's on Yelp. It's very bar friendly, sports bar friendly, has a lot of Niner stuff there. I used to host my Niner events there where I would have players come in there and I would basically rent out the back room there. You'll know what I'm talking about. Had players like Chris Borland and a few other there. A couple of my buddies would go out there and just, give back to the fans. So it was a really cool thing that I had going on over there. High Five Pizza, look it up. Best pizza place in the land, in my opinion. There was also a place in Oakland called Slicer Pizza, which my man Grant Cohn told me about. We used to get Slicer. They went out of business due to COVID. I'm pretty upset about that. That was great New York style pizza. All right. Ray Bandes 805 says Cortez. Oh, yes, Jose Cortez. If you guys don't know who Jose Cortez is, now you do. He wore number 6, and he was bald, had a mustache. He had a leg. I remember the game against the Atlanta Falcons where he won it in overtime, if I'm not mistaken. At the time, I worked at Safeway, and he came in, and I was bagging his groceries. I was just a bagger in high school, just courtesy clerk is what they called us, and I was just bagging groceries, And I look up, I'm like, dude, I just saw you yesterday at the game. I was like, hey, are you okay? Because I have front row season tickets, so I can see, like, with his helmet off what he looks like, and I come in and like, yo, bro, what are you doing here? Like, on the east side, bro? Like, I was like, are you Jose Cortez? He's like, yeah. I was like, bro, can you sign this for fast? So I got out like, the buy one, get one free coupons. I hand out, like, slinging it like nobody's business because I thought it was a cool cat. I was like, can you sign on the back of this? And he signed it. And I felt like $1 million, man. I still have that autograph. I should try to find it and bust it out, but I still have it somewhere in this house. Jose Cortez. Yeah. I kind of liked Jose Cortez, man. He had a leg. All right. JP says, I'm interested in a kicker. Ours cost us 3 games. Yeah. I think all of us are interested in kickers now, especially the way the rules are dictated, where it's not like a gimme with the extra point. Like it's moved back. So it makes it a lot more difficult to kick an extra point these days. I think the rate's still at 95% or something like that, but it's not like 99.9% that it's going to go through. It's like that play was always like, okay, man, like I'm going to take a pee break right now because 99.9% sure this guy's going to make it. You want to place a bet with me? Nope. Gosh, gotta love the competition committee for making that change. That was a smart play. Yeah, the extra point kind of became obsolete. All right, Project Max from YouTube, another YouTuber. Trade Jimmy and our 12th for Gilmore and Pat's 15 and their second rounder. I know everybody wants Stephon Gilmore, but you guys aren't 1-2 players away. I think you swipe left on Stephon Gilmore. I know you guys are like wanting a presence like a Richard Sherman and what he would bring to the table, but I don't like it, man. I don't like Stephon Gilmore. I'd rather build through the draft and go after a younger cornerback like a J.C. Horn or a Patrick Surtain Jr. That's my choice. But hey, I could be wrong. If you guys want Stephon Gilmore, hey, leave a discussion. Maybe I'll put up a podcast on why the 49ers should avoid Stephon Gilmore. How do you guys like that one? And then the haters are going, oh, no, what do you know, bro? What do you know? And here we go. All right, let's move on. I'm having fun with you guys. I hope you guys are too. And let's go ahead and talk about this. 49ers Ultimate Port from YouTube says, what are your thoughts about this trade, Jimmy G, for the Patriots second rounder and fourth rounder in 21? Again, who's putting up this Gilmore report? If you guys can reference who's putting up this Gilmore report, I will be gladly breaking this down brick by brick on why it's a dumb move. In my opinion. My opinion could be dumb too. But the receipts never lie. All right. Joseph Gonzalez from YouTube says, nah, we can probably get a second and Gilmore for Jimmy G. Probably. In and out. Lunar Mystic loves it. Oh, in and out. Oh, bro. So let me tell you my in and out story last night. So late last night, I was going to get nachos. Like, again, Los Cunados Taqueria. This is not sponsored ad, man. I just love food. In McCarthy Ranch, man. Go get their super nachos, man. It comes with salsa, guacamole, sour cream, all fresh ingredients. Of course, the chips are really hot and warm. Very tasty, like the texture. And then you get the carne asada on. Oh my God, game changer. Anyways, my In-N-Out story was I was actually going to go to In-N-Out instead, but the line at McCarthy Ranch wrapped all the way almost to the main street. And I'm like, bro, I am not going to wait 1.5 hours for a 4x4, extra toasted bun, well done fries, and a Flying Dutchman on the side. I'm not going to do it. Yes, that's my order. I love to eat. Food is my kryptonite. Did Eric Armstead actually name it Two Bums in the Pod by Lunar Mystic? No, I actually named it Two Bums in the Pod. In all honesty, the backstory is this. He called me and Grant Cohn Two Bums in the Pod with the clown emojis. And then I was like, let's make a play on this, right? Being the creative mind thinker that I am, an outside the box thinker, I said, hey, all right, cool. So me and Grant have always wanted to start a show. So I literally called Grant, or I texted him, one of the two. But I hit him up. I said, hey, he called us Two Bums in the Pod, and our phones and notifications are blowing up, and we love it. We're getting followers left and right. And I said, why don't we start a podcast, since you didn't mean to start a podcast, and call it Two Bums in the Pod, like Two Bums in the Podcast. He's like, dude, it's a great idea. Let's do it. I was like, let's do it. Boom. And Two Bums in the Pod was born on every Wednesday now at 11 a.m. or 11:30 a.m. in the morning. Yep. That's how it goes, baby. All right. CT Niner says, I made it. No, you did not, bro. Or as in you made it here onto this podcast, or you actually made up that podcast? Because you definitely didn't make up the podcast, but I see that you made it here. Thank you for tuning in. I think that's what you need. From YouTube, again. I see everyone's on YouTube. Look, YouTube. I'm telling you. Last question. What is your feeling about Roger Craig still not in the Hall of Fame? Roger Craig should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, anytime you go and are a big part of what Bill Walsh liked to do in terms of the West Coast offense, you go for 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving. You obviously had some historic runs. We all remember the run that he had against the Minnesota Vikings where he just trucked everyone on his way to the end zone. How is he not in the Hall of Fame? Number 33, Roger Craig. How is he not in the Hall of Fame up to this point? It's amazing. It's amazing how he's not in the Hall of Fame and some of these other running backs are. I don't know how it works out because every year there seems to be someone that gets left out or continues to be left out, and Roger Craig should be in the Hall of Fame. Definitely, no doubt in my mind. All right, who would be your second and or later round quarterback choice for grooming? That's a great question. I'm still doing research and breaking down the quarterback play as these pro days come about. I'm going to go ahead and peel back another layer of the onion to get to the core and answering your question. So sit tight on that. I don't have a definite answer. As I bring out my YouTube and Twitter receipts, you will know and be in the know before they know, because I will break it down brick by brick as to why my analytics say this as opposed to why. All right, let's move on. JP says, I would consider to take JC Jackson over Gilmore. Me too. All right, let's go ahead and move on. So Joseph Gonzalez from YouTube says, on ESPN, they have Patriots giving up 2 first-rounders for Jimmy Garoppolo. Ooh, so ESPN said that they have Patriots giving up 2 first-rounders for Jimmy Garoppolo? Well, if ESPN said that, that's a lot of draft capital give up for a quarterback who may not be so strong inside the pocket long term. But hey, why would they be Why would they be giving up 2 first-round picks for a player that they traded for and got a second-round pick for? Because the sample size now is a lot bigger than what it was when Jimmy Garoppolo was traded from the New England Patriots back to the San Francisco 49ers. So now with the larger sample size to pull from and with durability issues that he didn't have before because he didn't play that all. You would think that report would be kind of, right? If anything, if you watch my analysis, I said it's going to be a day 2 pick, a second round pick. I don't think it's going to be a first. It might be a swap of first round picks included in that deal because, again, the Patriots hold the 15th pick. The Niners hold the 12th pick. So that could play a role in terms of how the Patriots want to maneuver the first round, maybe leverage this deal and possibly work some deal with the first round pick swap as part of making this blockbuster deal. But I don't see 2 first round picks for Jimmy Garoppolo. That's like a franchise tag money. No, that you don't do that. You definitely don't do that. All right. Go to Roy Dion from Peter says, go to Las Vegas, talk real. Dude, okay, let me tell you something about Las Vegas Taqueria. I do not like Las Vegas Taqueria. I know a lot of you guys like Las Vegas Taqueria. For those who don't know, it's in Milpitas. It used to be right next door to where I used to train for my martial arts at the California Karate Academy, where I got my black belt. But getting back to Las Vegas Taqueria, I'm just not a fan of it, man. I don't like the way their food is prepared. I don't know what it is. Maybe because I went to San Diego State and I got, I guess, I don't know, bougie when it comes to getting authentic Mexican food. I don't know what the case may be. I don't like it. I don't like Las Vegas Taqueria. Their carne asada fries are no bueno. If you want real carne asada fries, you want to go on 13th Street. See, I love to eat. Look at this. There's a place called Taqueria Lorena's on 13th. Again, this is not a sponsored ad. There's a place called Taqueria Lorena's on 13th Street. Go get yourself some carne asada fries. The toppings are better, and the fries are extra crispy. I like that. I'm just saying. See, I love Mexican food. I can eat Mexican food all day. And I'm part Japanese, and people say, don't you like sushi, bro? Like, yeah, I grew up on that. So every time someone brings up sushi, I'm like, I'm out. I'm gone. What about El Amigo Burrito off Winchester? Another great place. They have great enchiladas, beef enchiladas. You can get it a la carte. Their Spanish rice is excellent and on point. Again, if you want some Mexican spots, I can show you some good Mexican spots. Speedy Tacos is okay. I mean, I wouldn't have it high up there, but some people like Speedy Tacos. There's a lot of different places here in the Bay Area. If you guys have a favorite Bay Area Mexican spot, shoot it my way. I'm all ears. The one that I'm really upset with was El Burro. They closed down during COVID. I was really upset about that. El Burro is one of the huge establishments here in the Bay Area. Really loved El Burro. Unfortunately, it no longer exists. I'm so sad about that place. All right, let's move on. Vernon Freeman from YouTube says, call it one beast and one bum. No, it's 2 bums in a pod. I like being called a bum in a pod because Eric Armstead ultimately gave us that nickname. I thank you, Eric Armstead. We were thinking of a name, and you just gave it to us by default. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. All right. 49ers Ultimate Report from YouTube says, if you had to make a prediction, who will start week 1 as quarterback in 2021? Oh, that's a great question. Since Fred Warner's not re-signed right now, that's a telling sign for me that they're still looking elsewhere. I don't care what anyone says. He's not being re-signed. We all know that the clock is ticking on resetting the market. I already pointed this out. People are going to piggyback on this saying, oh, yeah, well, what about the 2018? Nope, you heard it here first. Be in the know before they know. That's why I always say. That's why you guys follow me, because I point stuff out months in advance, weeks in advance. And so that's why by the time someone reports it, it's old news. I'm on to the next receipt. But ultimately, I mean, I guess right now you can say Jimmy Garoppolo, but at the end of the day, don't be surprised on draft day if something transpires. You know, on draft day is really where you really want to hold the cards, especially if you're Joe Douglas. If you're Joe Douglas sitting there at number 2 and you know ultimately that you're going to trade that pick, why do it now? Why trade that pick now? Because you hold all the leverage. The hype is built on draft day. The hype is built on draft day, not before the draft, not before free agency, not during free agency, on draft day. So if you're sitting there and you already know that you're going to make a power play move, you already have fielded some offers with some teams, like let's say the Atlanta Falcons or whoever wants to move up for a quarterback, you already can start your scenarios on how you want to manipulate the draft, because you can say, okay, plan A option doesn't happen. We strike a deal with this team. Let's see who's going to be available if we move back to these spots. And from there, let's do what we need to do in free agency. So when that perfect storm creates where we do strike this deal, because they said that they're willing to make a deal on draft day, despite what they do in free agency. Now, the only two teams that know what's going on are between those two teams, which is going to put everyone else in a difficult situation because now they're playing catch-up work to kind of fill up and redo their mock drafts in real time. See how the psychology works? I'm just saying. You got to be smart about it. All right, Joseph Gonzalez from YouTube says, Texans get 4 first-rounders and Bosa, and Niners get Watson, and Patriots get 4 first-rounders and Bosa. I'm not giving up Bosa, bro. I'm telling you, Bosa is going to be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate this year. He's going to put up, in my opinion, Bosa is going to put up probably around 12 to 15 sacks easily. Probably will have 3 or 4 in one game. And people be like, oh yeah, we love Bosa. Good thing we didn't trade Bosa. I'm telling you, the same people who want to run Bosa out of town are the same people who wanted Saleh to be out of town. And I said on Twitter, even heading in before the 2019 season, I said, I like Saleh. He's going to be a good coach. Everyone needs to calm down. He'll be fine. The same people that doubted me are the same people that became his biggest supporters. Same thing's going to happen with Nick Bosa. Sit tight. Nick Bosa's fine. He's the real deal. All right? Everybody just needs to relax. Jerry Yang says, SD has legit tacos. El Gordo tacos is the best. Man, I wish I was back at San Diego State, bro, because San Diego had some really good tacos. Oh, my gosh. I'm so hungry right now. It's like 1:09. I didn't even have lunch yet. We're supposed to hop on at 2:30 p.m., Jerry Yang, and we are going to do that. So I'm going to wrap this up in a little bit because I need to eat, and I don't know what I'm going to get. Maybe I should do a mukbang. I have a mukbang up. If you guys have not watched that, that was one of my first videos during the 2020 year, was because I was like, people were doing mukbangs from home and stuff. I'm going to do a mukbang from home. So there's actually a mukbang. I will post it up earlier if you guys are wanting it. Just drop your comments if you want to see this mukbang, or you can Google it. I did a mukbang. Just type in mukbang BEASTwriter, and I'm eating 2 Korean hot dogs. And one was with cheese. The other one was all beef and cheese. And I was just going back and forth, double fisted, like I'm drinking, like back in my college days, like pounding beers. Oh my gosh. It was fun. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. Yeah. All the food, all the good food is in San Diego. You cannot beat. Okay. If you guys want to go to San Diego, I'm telling you right now, if you're in San Diego right now living there, go to a place called Trujillo's. It's a little dive place, Trujillo's. It's right next to San Diego State. Everyone knows about this place if you went to state. Actually, if you don't go to state, you still know about this place. It's called Trujillo's. Get their carne asada fries. I'm telling you, it's the best carne asada fries in the land. Again, not a sponsored post, not a sponsored ad, but go to Trujillo's, hit up my man Junior over there. He always took care of me, and still when I go back till this day, always takes care of me. There's usually a long line that's going, hey, Junior, what's up? He's like, okay, cool. Whoop. Straight different line. People like, what? That sucks. I'm like, bro, I'm drunk, just trying to get my food in. I need to recover. Got my friends here. Oh, it was good times. College days were the best. I'm telling you, my Phi Kappa Psi days were the best. Fun times. We had a lot of good fun. We have a thing called the Phi Psi burrito. We actually have a burrito named after our fraternity. It's called the Phi Psi burrito. Check that out. That's also good. I also like the Sigma Chi burrito. That's also delicious. Gosh, going back to my college days here. All right. Joseph Gonzalez from YouTube says, because Belichick needs a quarterback, he doesn't want to start over Jimmy Gino's system. Yep, exactly. I would have to agree with that. Let me just shoot it. Whoa, we got a lot of comments here. Look at that. YouTube, Lunar Mystic. Here we go. I'm just going to be posting up some questions here and some analysis from all of you guys. And we are just going to go continue this. Gosh, man, we have a lot of comments here. All right, so this is about wrapping it up. I think we're good. I'm going to go ahead and take a lunch break right now. I'll be hopping back at 2:30 p.m. with my man Jerry Yang for Yang Mondays at 2:30 p.m. It's a weekly segment that we started last week. This will be our second episode and second installment here. Be sure to tune in. But as for right now, I'm going to take a lunch break because Yo Beast is hungry and I need to take a bathroom break too because I got to pee. All right. That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. BEASTwriter out. Peace.